Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.
Yep, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a spectacular episode, a mini episode of My Mama Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep, so deep, put your ass to sleep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories, and we finally work to prove that you, the listeners at home, have your own theories that you're going to share with us, and we are so excited to hear them. It's a mini episode. This is the first mini episode we've ever done. I'm talking to myself. I'm all alone. Olivia, who is one of our producers, a lovely person, a fantastic producer, is here looking at me talk to myself. So I guess I'm not technically alone, but ain't gonna be anybody else talking back to me, you listeners at home. So if you don't like my voice, if you're tired of my lisp, I assure you this is not the episode to keep listening to. You need to get out now because it's just going to be me for probably like 15 to 20 minutes. And that's insane. I hate it as much as you do, but this is what we have. I'm excited. It's been a hard day. DMX passed away earlier today, and that's not great. It's a sad thing. He was such a big part of my life, my formative years, despite me being in no way, shape, or form at all a DMX type person. I don't know if y'all get my vibe, but it ain't anywhere near DMX. But boy, did I feel like a Rough Rider. Just, I felt like I was a part of the crew. Anyway, we miss you, DMX. And why did I make this episode sad? I didn't have to do this. It's a mini episode. Truly, I didn't have to bring this up at all, but here we are. I shouldn't be alone. There needs to be another person in my brain at all times. I'm excited today because I'm going to be playing some fan theories, some theories that our fans send us. I get a ton of emails all the time from people who say they love the show. Some people call me a fucking idiot. They say they hate the show, but for the most part, people say they love the show. And then some people are brave enough to send us wonderful theories that they themselves are playing with in their heads. So this first theory, the first mini episode, you got it. You stupid bitches. We're about to pop this cherry. The first theory comes from a person named Kalon. Kalon sent us a message, and I'm going to play it now.
Hey, Langston. This is Kalon from Detroit. Huge fan of the podcast. And, possibly a new intern if you need one. I'm always available. So, the conspiracy theory that I came across was originally found on Twitter. And I'm still not 100% convinced that I believe it or not. So people are claiming that black actors and actresses have replaced traditionally ginger characters in different forms of media, whether it be comic books, video games, etc. So a lot of people think that Hollywood has changed these characters because ginger is an anagram for the word nigger. And I want to see if there's any truth to this. Please let me know. Would love to hear it on the pod. Thanks again, and keep up the good work.
Whoa, Kalon coming in hot. Well, let me start off by saying, first and foremost, fuck you, Kalon, for coming on with an entire meal in your mouth, for contacting me to have me do research as you eat what sounds like a steak dinner. You had a T-bone that you were slowly chewing through. It wasn't even like it's clearly cooked well, like all the way through, and you are snacking on it as you present this premise to me. I'll never fucking forgive you for that, Kalon. You're out of line, my friend. How fucking dare you? But more importantly, thank you so much for sending that. It means the world to me. And what a fucking spectacular theory that I've never heard before. I had not ever once in my life heard of the idea that ginger was an anagram for nigger, and Hardy are on that motherfucker. And it's an anagram for nigger. And more importantly, that these redheaded actors are being replaced by black people. It's a stunning accusation. Terrifying if true. And so what I decided to do, Kaylon, in honor of the theory that you sent us, is I did in fact do some research. I tried to unpack some of the things that you've presented in your theory. Now let's start with the basics, right? Apparently, redheads only make up about 1 to 2% of the world's population. They're only one, they're real small. They're a tiny little bunch. And you can spot them easy because, of the red hair. And so apparently to be a redhead, your parents need to be carriers of something called the MC1R or the melanocortin 1 receptor. That's the redhead gene. And both parents need to be carriers of this gene to make a redhead baby, which explains why occasionally you do come across some black people with red hair. European people are rapists. This is just a fact. And then they raped our ancestors, and subsequently a few of us have that carrier, that rare redhead gene. That said, apparently redheads historically are not as rare as we've made them out to be in terms of our text. I started doing some digging, and apparently there were several mummies of Egyptian descent. The Egyptian pharaohs were found to have red hair, or hair with reddish pigments is the way that it was framed. But I think it's red hair. I'd go so bold as to say red hair, mostly because nobody's fact checking me. Literally, Dictionary.com, Encyclopedia Britannica, none of these motherfuckers show up and try to fist fight me. I wish Encyclopedia Brown would say some shit to me. I'll beat his ass. I'll fuck you up, Encyclopedia Brown. But that's neither here nor there. But apparently Ramses II, who was often referred to as Ramses the Great, this motherfucker was the great Ramses and was regarded as the most powerful and celebrated pharaoh of the Egyptian empire, which kind of feels like a little bit of bias was cooked into that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like the best pharaoh. That's like how Trump, he claims he was the best president, but I don't know that I can trust that Ramses II was the best. My vote's for Ramses III. That's me personally. That said, apparently Ramses II, who was regarded by some as the most powerful and celebrated pharaoh, was in fact a redhead. Even more crazy, there are so many other redheads in history. In Homer's Iliad, he describes Menelaus and Achilles as both being redheads. Homer also, when he ran that shit back in the Odyssey, he described Helen of Troy as having red hair. Aphrodite is sometimes described as having red hair. Cleopatra was described as having red hair. Even the slaves of ancient Greece, who were said to cost the most, were redheads. They paid more money to buy redheads because the ancient Grecian people thought that they were good luck. Now, alternatively, the ancient Egyptians did not feel the same way about those redheads. And in fact, they would bury the redheads alive because they considered them such bad luck that this was a sacrifice to the gods. So, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. You murder them or you worship them. I'm not really sure who's correct in all of this. But I think the more important thing that I discovered as I unpacked some of this research is that a whole bunch of people historically who were known to be redheads have now been represented to us as blonde-haired or blue-eyed or sort of like traditionally caucus. Do you know what I mean? A more palatable caucus. And we know the whites don't care for the redheads. That's a fact. That's not even up for debate. There's no conspiracy theory there. You whites do not care for redheads one bit. Every time you're being mean to them in school, you push them down, you pour, I've seen your movies, you pour milk on their spaghetti lunches, all the different shenanigans that you pull to bully little redhead children. And so what I'm seeing here, Kaylon, what I think is the real conspiracy is not that black people are being replaced. It's more that these white people replaced redheads historically. They turned Achilles into a more traditional white man. They turned Helen of Troy into a more traditional white woman. They turned Cleopatra into something unrecognizable from her former self. And then afterwards, when people called for diversity, when people called for things to be evened out, instead of sacrificing themselves, instead of stepping up and being like, you know what, we, the blonde hair, blue eyed, who also are some weird genetic deformity that shouldn't exist, we'll sacrifice ourselves. We'll step up and say, we don't belong here. Instead, what they do is they sacrifice other white people. They sacrifice more redheads and replace them with niggas and create a new rift, a new fight to be had in our communities. We shouldn't be fighting the redheads. We don't need to start any beef with the redheads. And I similarly, Kaylon, went online and I started doing some research about that replacement that you're talking about. And you're absolutely right. These white people are doing exactly what you're accusing them of. They are replacing redhead people with black people and hoping we don't fucking notice. I found a post from 2 years ago from somebody named F. Britannia wrote a post where they asked, why is Hollywood getting rid of all comic book redheads? And this is what they wrote. I want to read the whole thing. They said, I found it pretty weird all redheads are being replaced by mostly black actors. I wouldn't really have a problem with it, which you can already tell, Kaylon, that this motherfucker clearly has a problem with it. But he said, I wouldn't really have a problem with it if it were just a few, but it's getting ridiculous. Every single redhead is being erased except Jean Grey. I don't know why Jean Grey got brought up in all of this, Kaylon, but apparently everybody but Jean Grey has been replaced. And then F. Britannia goes down a long list of some of these options. Jimmy Olsen in the DCEU was murdered and not much of a redhead, if I recall correctly. And in Supergirl, he's black now. Wally West and Iris West in the Flash show, they are also black, which is what happened in the New 52. So I guess I can understand it. Plus, it was one of the first shows to do it. Starfire. Well, I guess she still is a redhead, but that wig looks awful. The costume design of that show is pretty bad. But why is her skin not orange? That was a detail I always liked of her character, as it gave her no real ethnicity. Let me stop you right there. The bitch is orange. She's got an ethnicity. It just ain't an ethnicity you're aware of. Let's not erase orange people. I don't know what that shit is, but it still exists. Let's not pretend like these motherfuckers just are raceless. Don't play this dumbass game where you go like, I don't see race because the bitch is orange. She's orange, and that is a race, and I like it. Starfire, you could get it. Next person, Mary Jane. Well, she's not Mary Jane in the MCU, but come on. We know who MJ is supposed to be. I don't know what the fuck that means. I also really don't like her actress. Her performances always seem like she still is in a Disney show. So he's not a Zendaya fan, and really unhappy that MJ was replaced. Black Widow, well, now she's blonde. Starting to lose focus. I get that. There are others besides Jean Grey. Pepper, which appeared back in 2008. So it's not saying much because this trend wasn't really prominent back then. And Aunt May, who's hot and young now for some reason. And Merida, she's Aquaman's wife. I hope I said that name right. I'm not hating on or anything, just genuinely curious as to why this is happening. Maybe it's less of a trend than I believed, but most major redheads are being changed, and there may be others I missed. I don't know. It's just a bit weird. It's a wild post, but not completely unsubstantiated. There's some evidence that this person is digging up, and then they got also weirdly, they conflated a bunch of shit by being mad that like Black Widow has blonde hair and Aunt May ain't old and crusty no more. I don't know. You mad at Marissa Tomei, you fucking idiot. And let me say this, as a person who is now in the superhero universe. As many of my listeners know, I'm famous for playing Eagle the Archer on The Boys. Very famous, hugely successful for that role that I was in 4 episodes of. Anyway, I don't think Eagle the Archer was originally a black man. Now, in my defense, Eagle the Archer wore a mask So it wasn't clear whether or not he had red hair under there. But it is possible that I, in fact, am a product of redhead replacer. Is that a word? Redhead replacer. I'm out here I'm gentrifying another space with my negroid nose and my ethnic lips. I'm ruining everything. And ladies and gentlemen, if that is in fact true, I don't apologize. Fuck you. I needed that check real bad. Papa's down bad and I got to bet on these ponies. But I do want to say that to my redhead brothers and sisters, I am with you. I won't give you the job, but I am with you. Anyway, it's an interesting point, but here's how I know that white people can't stand redheads, because this is a Reddit post, right? And with Reddit posts, you would expect a bunch of racist things to naturally follow this post where they're talking about black people erasing white people from their own jobs. But I go down the comments of this Reddit post and there aren't any mean comments. Most of the comment regarding black people, at least, most of the comments are just white people yelling out, "Hey, look at this dumbass being a redhead rights activist." Look at this dumb motherfucker trying to advocate for redheads. Stupid bitch. Don't nobody love redheads. Truly, they are, Kaylon, the niggas of white people. The anagram is correct. If ever the part of the conspiracy theory that's substantial that you presented, they are the niggas of white people. And it's, I don't know, chicken of the sea. Poor redheads. And I'll be honest, I like redheads. I've always been a fan. And maybe it's that crossover. Maybe that's the Venn diagram that really exists in the white and black community. It's like we've both suffered at the hands of much more mean, much more manipulative whites. And I pray for my redhead brothers and sisters. And I hope that you flip that anagram around and maybe you come to the nigger side one day. And you don't get to say it, but you could be a part of our community. Do you know what I mean? You could join up with us. Y'all could be like Bizarro, or you could be our other niggers. Yeah, like the other white meat, other nigger meat. All right. Well, Kaylon, I hope that satisfied your question, and I hope you enjoyed this mini episode. If you had fun, then send us more stuff. You can send it to mymommapod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And in honor of our hero, of certainly my fallen hero, DMX, I'm going to send us out the only way I know how. Okay, bye.
I can go anywhere.
Suck my dick! Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.